milstein, Yeshua מדבר. אני רוצה לשאול יותר כללי. הייתי אומר שיהודים בכל הדורות עד צרפת גורו ביחד בשלום עם הערבים או לא?
לא. לא עכשיו, לא. אני עושה עכשיו קרש 13 בסדרת הכרכים של מלחמת העצמאות ועושה על צפת איך הצלחנו לשחרר את צפת. אז בדקתי את ההיסטוריה של צפת, אז היו בעיות עם הערבים גם לפני.
היה בעיות, אבל פעם ב100 שנה, פעם ב50 שנה, ככה אני הבנתי.
נכון, זה נכון. סך הכל גרו איתם בסדר, אבל מדי פעם היו גם מהומות.
כן, טוב, תודה דוקטור מילשטיין, בינתיים, להתראות כל טוב.
Okay, I want to say a few words how this clip came to be. There was a clip I put up maybe a few years ago about from Avigdor Miller about grave diggers. That's, if you want to see it and all the 20 comments there, you can look up that also. It goes into the Neturei Karti. Now all of a sudden, this fellow, he calls himself Robert Bludman, started commenting on it, and he said a few things. One, that Neturei Karti, and meeting the Haredim that support them, they go to Iran, and they're mamash only Israel. They go to Iran and talk to them. Okay, this is true. And I told them Neturei Karti is a new thing. The Neturei Karti of Amram Blau, who, by the way, just to say a word about him, about a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, there was an article in Besheva, and some rabbi, he calls himself a rabbi, I don't think so, and I think even his own Lumi people came out, they definitely came out against him, I have evidence of this, they came out against him. He cursed him, I have a noira, saying he threw sewage on Rav Kook. Now, anybody that knew Rav Avram Blau, and I lived in the same Tekufa, very close to him. This is a person, Oev Yisrael, he loved Jews, and every Shabbos night, Friday night, and I don't know, maybe the daytime, but I heard on Friday, I heard the singing, I saw the things there. I wasn't so good be him, but I definitely spoke to him, because we lived very close together, and he would have guests. Now, when this article, he would have many guests, and he was nice to them. Now, when this article came out, he has a wait a minute. There's a person that lives next building. I don't want to say his name right now. He lives now in Beitar. He used to live next door to me. He is a Yerushalmi, and I asked him, well, is this true? And he said, it's a lie. It's a complete lie. Amram Blau wasn't capable of these things. He was a tzaddik, he loved Jews, but he did know who the real person was. It happens to be somebody in his family, I won't mention his name, and who did it, and he's known for doing these kind of things. So I figured the next week, 100 people, everybody knew that Rav Blau didn't throw a sewage on Rav Kook, but he never replied. And by the way, the same rabbi once, about maybe 5-6 years ago, they put this newspaper, Besheva, in my mailbox, so I look at it. There was an article there about the yahrzeit of Ema Banim Smecha from Rav Yehuda Yisachar Teichel. And it was a good article. He was a tzaddik. He was killed by the Nazis. He was killed as a result of the Nazis. So I called him up one morning that week and told him, Rabbi, he said his name, Rabbi, did you know that Rabbi Teichel held of the 3 O's, the famous 3 O's, that we can't be all, we can't, everyone, I won't go with 3 O's, I printed many posts about the 3 O's here, And what did he say? What did he do? I don't know what he said. He slammed the phone on me. He said, you don't want to hear such a thing. He lives in his Olam Dimyon, this so-called rabbi, who did in an interview once all of a sudden mention about his chances. Nobody asked him to become chief rabbi. Okay. Now, the thing that got me started, this Robert Bludman started saying, so about Tarpat. Whose fault was Tarpat? Now, he said the Jews did nothing wrong. First of all, that's a complete lie. And I looked it up, and you can find it in the two books. One with about Rav Yosef Chaim Sonnenfeld. One is Isha Lachoma, which has a Haskama, about Rav Yosef Chaim, Haskama from Rabbi Yashuv. So you should know it's not in the Turi Karti things. And the other one is another Sefer on Rav Yosef Chaim. They both bring Kimat the same story with different details added of how Tarpat got started. That Yom Kippur, the Jews, the Zionim, they probably only come there once come for Yom Kippur. They built a mechitza. Now, this Robert Bludman says they had a permission to bring it, to blew it. Now, it could be, the way I understand it, is they didn't have permission to build a mechitza. They took a couple of chairs and threw a few talesim over it, and there was bitty evidence of sort of mechitza, and that could be that went on for a while, and the British overlooked it. But that year, the head of the British said nothing doing. So what did the Zionim come and do? They built a mechitza. A permanent mechitza. With digging in the ground and pressing poles, they built a permanent mechitza. This was definitely forbidden, not like Robert Bludman says. And when the British official came by on Yom Kippur, he saw it was there, and he ordered it ripped down. They said, it's Yom Kippur. It was ripped down. I don't know who ripped it down. The British probably, on Yom Kippur. Now, that whole year was tension, tremendous tension. The Jews are trying to take over. There was the Mufti. He was a tremendous anti-Semite, a friend. He used to visit Hitler. Yimach Shemo, I don't know how many times. He would visit Hitler. And at that point, there's another story that has to be told sometimes, maybe I'll tell it. Hitler was not for murdering the Jews at this time. He was for getting them out of Germany. And the Mufti agreed to it. Just get them out, I don't care what you do. But get them out and don't bring them to Palestine, Eretz Yisrael. Otherwise, get them out. Hitler wasn't this. It's on a cassette from Miller. I couldn't find it on the Wikipedia, but Reb Miller says it definitely one of his cassettes. You can ask the experts of Reb Miller. He heard that somebody came in to a meeting. This was said by the person, one of the big Nazis that's pretended to do tshuva. I think the rise and fall of the Third Reich. He came in so they came in and told Hitler there's a boycott. There was a Reform Rabbi Weiss, who called for a boycott on all the German Jews. And as Reb Miller tells a story, that he fell on his face and he was going in a temper tantrum, he was going crazy. And he said now he's going to get them all. It wasn't at the beginning. The beginning, he just wanted to get them out. Even though he wrote my Kampf, Alpha Pecan. The Meiser, in the clip I put on now, and there's another clip that I forgot all about it, that I put up 4 years ago with Professor Dr. Uri Milstein. He says the same thing. That the Jews lived, he says on this one also, the Jews lived well with the Arabs, time immemorial, as the name of the book goes. They lived good with the Arabs. Only in the Balfour Declaration and beginning in 1920, and in the Gerlitz's book, he goes into detail between 1920. What happened? And there were a lot of riots. It all began with the Zionists declaring we're going to make a Medina. Otherwise, they live well with the Jews. Now, what is this Bludman fellow? What's his proof? In 1834, I think he brings, you can look at all the comments there, there was a pogrom, something happened, they revolted against the Jews, 1834, before Zionism, okay? And then he brought in 1720, That's what you have every 115 years. Something happened. Now this is Yador Yadua. Now while we're talking about this Nakuda, I saw many, many years ago in the Jewish Action, who a neighbor of mine used to get an article from, what's his name? Ari Zitakovitz. And he's a writer now, occasionally writes articles in the English Mishpacha. And he wrote a big article there, how we've suffered from the Arabs from time immemorial, from 13, since they started. And you read the article, I read the whole article, and okay, he brings 8 cases, 8 pogroms. That's like one every 170 years, something like that. It is simply not true. So I wanted to tell him this, so I tried to look up his phone number. They had phone books in those days. And I couldn't get it, but I got his email, and I sent him an email. I'd like to talk to you. And he wrote me back. He gave me his phone. Yeah, we had a nice talk. But he had nothing to answer about this. He didn't revolt on his professor, and he didn't return on his shita. And academics are usually honest. They won't be academics. Now, since I'm drifting off the subject, a word about academics. Now, when this rabbi from Besheva came out with this, I tried to find out where it is. There's a professor of Aaron Blau. He's written the books, Kimchi, something like this. I couldn't get a hold of him. But there's a person that advertises himself. He's not an academic. He calls himself academic. He has no degrees, but he's a big expert. He researches Rav Kook all the time. So I asked him, this is true, it doesn't seem true. He says, yeah, he has the article in the newspaper. So I said, you could send it to me, photo it. And he said, yeah, of course. So the kids, all of a sudden he couldn't find it. That's an academic. There is no article. And if there was an article, it was about the other man from Agudas Israel, who was a big Kanoi, and who did throw the sewage. I'm told it's true. His nephew told me it's true. Now, another word about the Balfour Declaration. This I heard in the history cassette. And Beryl Wine, Zecher Tov. I knew him. I lived Kimat next door to him, and I went to his Shir Mincha Mara for a number of years, because I lived in that part of town, Shari Chesed Rechavia. And who was, I thought, a great person. He's what I call an honest Zionist. Unlike this Robert Blunder and many people that lie, this Rabbi Cook expert, they have no respect for the truth. Now, he has a cassette in the history series, and there's another cassette on the Balfour Declaration. On the history cassette, he talks all about the Balfour Declaration. And then he says a line like this. Really, there's a line in there. The Arabs have to agree to all this. And Rav Wine says, they should have been dancing in the streets, not the Yidden. Kach, Rav Beryl Wine, and that's, if you can get his cassette, it's still available. And it could be I have it. I have a lot of cassettes in a box here. If I could only play them on a tape recorder. One more thing Robert Bludman says about Moshe Hirsch. Now, so he said, Naturi Karti always went to the Arabs. There was only one, and his name was Moshe Hirsch. I knew him, and my parents knew him, and he went to Arafat. He was doing all these things. He was a Yachid. He didn't have support among the people there. And there was a point where they attacked him. They physically attacked him in front of his house, coming out of the house one morning. And it could be he was half blinded. And this Moshe Asa, because he sued, he went to the government courts. They built a building opposite his dira there, and it blocked the sunshine a little bit. And he went we knocked him out. So he went to the courts, the Jewish courts. They had Zionist courts, and he lost there also. He was a nice man. Apparently, he was always smiling, which is a Mila. I'll give him credit for that. Okay, he talks about Moshe Hirsch. Now, there's a person today at Rosh Yeshiva at Slobodka, Moshe Hillel Hirsch. Now, he is not the same Moshe Hirsch, but this so-called expert, Robert Bludman, says he's been doing these things. He doesn't know this. Rosh Yeshiva Slobodka and a man of Naturi Karti from 30, 40 years ago. He died quite a while ago. And okay, bentayim, these are a few comments I'm adding on to it. And Shana Tova, in case I don't speak again on this site, and B'shuras Tovos, Kol HaYudim.